Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Teach Me to Sports Bet. My name is Kim Yuhl, and I suck at sports betting, which is evident this week. Thankfully, I have my colleague and friend and veteran sportscaster here to help set me on the right path, Dave Bontempo. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Kimmy, how are you? Don't be hard on yourself. You can be hard on the team behind you because they did throw everything out of the water last night. However, let's be advised of what it gave us. With the New York Jets defeating the Los Angeles Rams as a 17-point underdog, and with the Cincinnati Bengals defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers as a 14.5-point underdog, anybody who says that they took both of those teams to win, the Jets and the Bengals, there's a new term for them, the Pinocchio parlay. Watch the nose grow as they tell you they had those teams, because nobody was talking about the Jets or the Bengals to win that game. Absolutely nobody.
Well, it's crazy because those, I will not even lie, were you told me to pick two teams and it, sort of revolve my betting around those two teams. Those were my two teams. Those were the two teams I had the most confidence in. And all of my other bets that I had in my, the other teams in my parlays were, a little bit more, I would have been not nearly as heartbroken if they lost. I could have expected that. I just didn't expect it. And both of them, when going into last night, I had hope for the Steelers, which is why I loaded up this background, that I would come out a winner because I moved my lines enough that I had a really good return on my bet. So it would offset my losing parlay that I had already in the books. And I'm mad at them. I'm really mad.
there are people who brought Christmas presents in expectation of last night's win, because that's how certain a thing that it was. Now you have to call someone up and say, listen, I'm sorry, Christmas didn't come this year for you. You can blame Ben Roethlisberger and the Cincinnati Bengals. Look what they did to your Christmas. And the Steelers did not show up for the first half of that game, and they're very uncharacteristic, and their confidence level has plummeted. They are an 11-3 team, and they have been outscored 76-35 in the middle of the last handful of games. You never see that with an 11-3 team. But that is what happens in the NFL. It is game by game, week by week. However, before we talk about more of the betting, you did something very good last night. Your professor was very proud of you this week that you took the Green Bay Packers and you adjusted the money line on that game, because they lost that game on the normal spread against the Carolina Panthers. They won by 8. The spread was 8.5, but you teased it down and you made that a win. So you got the alternate line concept down.
Yeah, I went into, okay, so first of all, let me just say, I am not liking parlays right now, but I do feel the exercise, while I wouldn't make it a core betting strategy because I feel like there's just too many uncertainties, I do like that it allowed me to really see the value of how to move lines, adjusting the lines with three teams to make the parlay more beneficial. Did really hone that in, and I did really get that concept this weekend. I also felt really confident in my bets, and all of them except the two that I was most confident in came in. So, of course, those are the two that blew my parlays, which just goes to show you how hard it is to win a parlay when both of my parlays relied on my favorite picks to come in last.
Yes.
So the hardest teams, the teams that I thought I might lose it on, actually came in first, and then it was up to the sure thing to win it for me, and neither one of them did.
And now we talk about that lesson coming out of that, about using a particular team to anchor groups of your parlays, because you could have one team blow all of your parlays. Now, last weekend, for example, I had groups of parlays, and I did hit nicely on one of them with the over under for the Tampa Bay game. I teased down to 47, and that covered. And then I had the Cowboys to beat the San Francisco 49ers outright. They were an underdog. So I got a nice return on that 2-team parlay. Other parlays, I had the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. I teased it down to 39 points and lost. If I teased it up to 55 points, I could have won that. But so you're torn about which way to move that over underline. I moved the over underline, and the Cleveland Browns and the Giants got on the 5-yard line and did a fake field goal. I knew I was in trouble right away. Get some points, kick a field goal for me. They didn't do it for me. A fake field goal, and then I was in trouble. So, but that's the thing of it. Now, we also have to tell a story because we had a 1 week not live, but something happened after we were on last time. The Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns, for those who remember, had the craziest finish in NFL history in the last several years. 20 points, Kimmy, in the last 2 minutes of that game. You won and lost that bet 4 times in a 2 or 3 minute span. And then they had a series of laterals on the final play. Everybody lost. It was a 7-figure turnaround nationwide, according to FanDuel and DraftKings. 7 figures changing hands on one play. That's why we talk about keeping everything in perspective.
Yeah.
If you have a big bet on these games, this is a really hard thing for you. And so keeping it fun and keeping it at your level is important.
I do feel a little bit more confident. I also have a lot of respect for sports bettors, a lot more respect for sports bettors who do this regularly. And I have a couple of friends who are responsible sports bettors. They're not doing the crazy 6-figure bets and parlays and craziness like that, but they do well. And I have so much respect for them now because of how hard it is and how much studying I know that they do to get the information that they have to base their bets on. So, you know, I obviously am a novice. If there's anything, you know, further down than a novice, I'm probably that. And so, and I still feel like I've come a long way, but I just am amazed at how you and my other friends maintain all of this information and knowledge.
Well, thank you, Kimmy. It's been a lot of years in the making. Now, let's talk about, you calling yourself a novice here. When the season began, you didn't know what a line was. Now you're moving the line all in 1 year. You went from what is this to I don't like it, I'm going to move it. So you've done that. And I think there's something very important that you have learned, and that is within your own realm, your place in the betting spectrum. So we talk about going up the ladder. The first thing is the games you like. Then you decide whether you want to put a money line parlay or not, but you gauge it. And then you see where you fit. Now, there are people that take it to other extreme levels because it's comfortable for them, like the first touchdown score of a game. All right, so you put a couple dollars on that, and then you have to, like on Sunday night, there was 16-1. The first touchdown score was a tight end, the Cleveland Browns. But you had to wait out 2 running plays to the 2-yard line and hope that the guy got stopped and that they would throw it to your tight end. So that's another level of it altogether. But you're fitting nicely and you're winning, Kimmy. You're ahead.
Ahead overall for the season, but I don't know if I need to go back and look at that. I'm ahead because I have maximized my bonuses. So when I first got my account with DraftKings, I took full advantage of the bonuses that they offered, including a deposit match and some free bets and things along those nature. And that really helped set me up. So I have been betting with the books' money this whole season. I haven't actually put any of my money at risk yet, believe it or not.
Well,
so that's been great.
It's important to note that in the age that we live in, because now in the last 3 years in which legalized betting has taken off in the NFL, this has become a prime strategy that never existed before. So people realize that, okay, you get in there and then you do it with the free bets. It will be the equivalent of other betting strategies. If you go to the track and you play $2 on the first race, and then if you hit, well, then you take that money and then you try to put it into other races. You're taking the money they give you and you're putting it into it. If you hit big on that free bet, some people take one free bet. They may deposit a lot of money, take the free bet, and if they hit that free bet, they're set up for the season. So there's a lot of ways to use that, and you found the way to use it that fits you. I think that's the most important thing to come out of here. It fits who you are.
Yeah, it helped. It really helped as, a new bettor who doesn't like to lose, and especially does not like to lose money. So I probably shouldn't be sports betting, but it allows me to bet with a little bit more confidence that I'm not putting, first of all, I'm not putting a lot at risk. I'm betting very small because that's my comfort level. And, when I get more comfortable, I may venture up a little bit more, but for right now, I'm staying and keeping it fun and trying to just really learn all of the moving pieces. I feel like it's sort of like a game of chess, which is, as you know, very strategic. And granted, I don't have control of what the teams are going to do, Steelers, but but you can make some really informed decisions, and over time, those decisions will give you a slight edge. The thing that I remember that you told me at the beginning was how the sports books obviously set the lines so that even money comes in on both sides, because that means they win. They get the juice. They're guaranteed a profit. If it's lopsided one way or the other and it goes the opposite way, they can lose big. So they try to keep it equitable on both sides. And knowing that, that there's going to be times when, statistically you maybe made the right decision, but things out of your control just, didn't pan out. And so when it's that close, I like to keep things small to keep it safe and keep it more fun. So when teams don't come through for me, Steelers, I can still laugh about it.
Hey, you know what? It's good. You send it in when you feel it, and you feel it when you watch enough games or you do enough research that something says play me. If it doesn't say play me, just dabble until something does. And it will over the course of a season. And the books now, they have to take more risks because they're getting more of the so-called one-way action now in this new age, because the Sharpies can make bets faster than they used to. You used to have to go to the brick and mortar facilities. And so there was a lot of time for the books to adjust the line. If they saw someone walk in, maybe, oh, we know who this person is. But now the books are on the line. The books are gambling too. They put the line out there, but they're gambling too. So that kind of makes it fun for everybody. And it means that you can find your spots. Now, with the updated information we have, we found out that only 11% of the bettors took the Jets on the money line at FanDuel, this was, and only 9% took the Bengals. So you take that as one example. You take another example, the sports models that say we played the game 10,000 times already, and this is the result. Well, what about 10,001? This is the 10,001st game. No model predicted that, these two, to do that in one weekend. But that's the beauty of it. If it was too predictable, we wouldn't need to play.
Well, we would, because we'd be making more money.
but the numbers wouldn't be in our favor. It would be like you're always laying big odds, and what is the use if we always know? But that's and when you watch these games, Kimmy, they come down to about 3 or 4 plays in each one, sometimes one, and it's a mistake that gets made, a ball that got dropped, something happens in the games. We bet numbers, but eventually we're betting human beings, and they do make they make the mistake which you cannot factor into a line.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a busy week. It's a holiday week. There are lots of games going on. What games are we going to watch this week?
Well, we have a Christmas present under the tree, a Friday football game this week with the Minnesota Vikings and New Orleans Saints, marking the first time in NFL history that the league played a game on every day of the week. So this is a Friday game, setting a record for the league. And the books love this. They call it a one-off game, just one game, so the bettors can focus on all the props and everything with that. The underlying current, the Vikings knocked the Saints out of the playoffs last year in New Orleans. And the Vikings also scored a miracle victory called the Minneapolis Miracle, knocking the Saints out of the playoffs a couple of years ago. So there could be a revenge motif for the Saints. For prop players, Michael Thomas is not playing for the Saints. He's a great receiver. They're resting him until the playoffs. On Saturday, we've got 3 games, and they're stacked up 1, 2, 3 behind each other. So we have Tampa Bay at Detroit. We have the Miami Dolphins against the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals and San Francisco 49ers. Afternoon, late afternoon, and evening. So you've got football all day Saturday, one game at a time.
Okay, so with so many games, and we're getting obviously closer to the playoffs, what am I looking for?
Well, you want to look at this time of teams that really need the game. So Saturday, you have 3 teams that must have the game. Tampa Bay must have the game. Miami must have the game. Arizona must have the game. The teams they are playing are out of it for the most part. So you look at how much and how hard will they play. And all that's been factored into the lines, but you still do want to, if you want to go with those games, play a team that needs it. At least that's one angle for you going in.
So, okay, so coming off of, 2 overwhelmingly favorite losses, I sort of see the beauty in betting the underdogs now.
Yeah.
Are there any of those must-win games on Saturday where it's likely, or where you think the favorite might be upset?
The game that would go in as the biggest candidate for that would be the Miami Dolphins, Las Vegas Raiders, because the Raiders do have an explosive offense. And if they get into the right style of play, they can win in a quote unquote shoot against anybody. They do have 7 wins. Hosting the Miami Dolphins, who have a very good defense and a very good running game. So if the Dolphins would happen to fall behind early, they have to adjust the comfort level of their game to play into the Raiders. So that's the game that has the biggest upset possibility going in. There is some chance for that.
Okay. Anything on Sunday I need to take a look at?
Yes, on Sunday, this is the cause and effect weekend, okay? Because here's what you have in the NFC East. The Washington football team plays Carolina at 1 p.m. If Washington wins, it eliminates both the Eagles and Cowboys who play in the second game of the afternoon. So the Eagles and Cowboys are rooting together for Carolina to beat Washington. And then they'll go out and try to eliminate each other from the playoff if that happens. So the betting, if you're betting the Eagles-Cowboys game, you may have to wait because the game could be huge or it could be meaningless. Now, another team, it depends on, because the one game is at 1 o'clock, the one game is at 4:30. Then you have the Giants and the Ravens. The Ravens need the game because they're still on the outside looking in. They're playing the Giants. So a lot going on, and that's a 1 o'clock game. There's a lot going on in the NFC East with the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock factor. That's a big one for that. And then the Tennessee Titans and Green Bay Packers will be a very entertaining game. That's the highest point total game going in on the books.
Yeah. I like both of those teams. I don't know which one I would
Yeah.
bet for yet. I'm gonna have to look at that. I probably won't bet it if I like both teams. Do know, I noticed there was no reference to the NFC least this time.
God, I officially baptized them back as the NFC East after the Giants beat the Seattle Seahawks a couple weeks ago, and then the Washington football team beat the Steelers. Those two developments convinced me that they are no longer the NFC least. Even though when the East played the West this year, they went 3-9, but still, they are no longer the NFC least. But we had fun with that, didn't we, for half the season?
Yeah, that was great. I loved it. Okay, so we're getting closer to the playoffs. Obviously, things are at stake this week for teams. I imagine there'll be more of the same next week as well. Is that fair to say?
It will be fair to say for a smaller number of teams. After this week and what happens, it will knock certain teams out of the playoff picture. Week 17 will be utterly meaningless for some teams and will be life and death for other teams. And it won't be a large body of teams that need games to impact positioning. And one thing that changes things a little bit this year is that there's only one playoff bye in each conference. So last year you had competition going for that second bye on the final weekend, but this year with only one, that will knock some teams out of like having a position to play for. So you keep your eye. There are teams that are real hot, like the Ravens need things very badly. Tampa Bay needs things, to get in and solidify position. Cleveland is really hot. Pittsburgh needs to solidify and stabilize after 3 weeks in a row. So there will be things in the mix, but I think it will be more concentrated, and we'll talk about that next week after we see what happens next.
Okay, I have a lot to think about. I will sort of mention that I'm feeling a little beaten up after this last weekend, and it is the holidays. I don't know, take a week off. We'll see. I think I will try to incorporate some single bets because I feel like I've learned my lesson with the parlays. I feel comfortable with them. I might throw one in for fun, but I really notice how hard it is to win parlays. And those people that are betting on 6-leg and 12-leg and all of these leg parlays, I'm like, that is craziness.
Yes, it's like watching a centipede bet, all these legs for that. And sometimes there's big money on that as they're trying to hit for the big one. They're going for the 6-figure payout, and they're going for, I'll never have to work again type of thing. And it's good to note that because there are levels of betting. And I think the most important thing that you have picked up on this year is where you fit in that, because at the end, it's not their bankroll that you're playing with, it is yours. And you have figured out how you fit, which is very important for a gambler.
Okay, Dave. Well, we're going to start to see the playoff picture take shape, and have a great week and Merry Christmas. We'll be back here next week looking further into the playoff picture, and then talk some playoff betting eventually too. So yay.
Hey, Kimmy, have some fun. And remember, you're not on the witness stand. I'm not going to say we close our show by saying Kimmy, the witness, is excused. Remember, this is fun.
I'll tell you, I was, I get so involved in the games, and my mother-in-law finally asked me, how much do you have on this game? I'm like, $10. She's like, that's all?
Well, throughout history, when you go to the sports books and people were screaming, it was always the people with $10 or $20 screaming the loudest. It doesn't matter. It gives you a stake in the game. But yes, we do take it personally when we watch some of the things that go on.
Okay, Dave. Well, have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you next week.
You got it, Kimmy. Have a great holiday, hon. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.